This isn't something that I usually report on, but I do now and again, but couldn't resist pointing out the utter idiocy of the justice system and the lack yet again of any meaningful punishment for certain protected types. 55-year-old Jane Nightingale, aka James Saville OBE, aka its real name Jason Pilley, exposed himself to police in January 2020 when they turned up at his door. Now, it's important to note that Jason Pilley is a man who dresses like a woman, and that's important because as I go through this report, you'll hear me refer to him as a man, but the press and police refer to him as a woman, which is funny because I've never known a woman to expose her penis before. But then what do you expect when we're dealing with Police Scotland? Police arrived at the door of Jason Pilley to speak to him following a disturbance. He opened the door to them, fully naked, and refused to let them into his home, instead directing a drunken tirade of abuse at the constables, calling one of them a Nazi fascist. When asked his name, Pilley replied, James Saville OBE. Jason was subsequently arrested, although the details of the disturbance seem to be missing from the reports. 55-year-old said he was bundled into the back of a police van and was the victim of homophobic and racial abuse while still naked. Now, Pilley faced a court this week, 2 years after the arrest, accused of willfully obstructing police, making homophobic and racially offensive remarks and exposing himself to police. However, the reports claim exposing herself. One of the constables there on the night at around 10:30 p.m. on January the 17th, 2020 said when they arrived there was a bloody handprint on the door and were left shocked when the homeowner answered the door to them fully naked. Fiscal Depute Duncan Mackenzie asked PC Hughes what he observed when the door opened. He said, her nakedness. Mr. Mackenzie said, what part of Miss Nightingale's body were you able to see? The constable replied, her penis. His penis. Not her penis. Hers can't have a penis. Well, they can, but it's not theirs, and they have to let the man have it back afterwards. But biologically, seeing as this was not a hermaphrodite, this was a man, which was apparently obvious to determine by its fucking tallywhacker. PC Hughes said during the incident the woman told him to fuck off and called his colleague a German Nazi fascist. His colleague, PC David Jones, also claimed to have seen her penis and testicles when she opened the door. His penis and testicles when he opened the door. And claimed that Pilley also called him a puff. Jane Nightingale, aka James Saville OBE, aka its real name Jason Pilley, who's originally from London, told the court he identifies as trans and as female when appearing in court on Monday, because we all know those who do get treated far more favourably by the courts. But then I ask myself, what other females or women have I ever heard of in my 44 years on this planet who have exposed their male genitalia? Oh, that's right, none. Denying using homophobic language, because we all know LGBTQers can't get done for using homophobic language, just like black and Asians can get away with using racist language. He said that he was left naked in the back of the police van for about an hour in the middle of the winter. Now, as I've said, LGBTQers and black or Asian people can't or very rarely get done for using language that the rest of us would get a hate crime marker for. And the fact that Sheriff Fiona Reiths found the charges of James Pilley making homophobic and racially offensive remarks had not been proven by the Crown proves my point. However, the sheriff did find that she obstructed police and willfully exposed herself to the officers. Sheriff Fiona Reiths' words, not mine. Sheriff Reiths said that Jason did obstruct the police, but that was on the lower end of the scale, adding, as for charge 5, willful exposure, I accept the evidence of the police, including the evidence of PC Hughes to the effect that Miss Nightingale was told to cover up and the fact her penis was on display. In all circumstances, I am satisfied this charge was made out. However, it was again at the lower end of the scale. The lower end of the scale? So if I open the door to Plod with my womb basher on full display, who thinks I would get told it's the lower end of the scale? Well, I mean, it might be on the heavy end of the scale, but it's definitely not on the lower end of the scale. Anyway, Jason Pilley, or Pilley, whatever, aka James Saville OBE, aka Jane Nightingale, was found guilty of exposure and obstruction, and for its trouble it was sentenced to £320 for both offences. Collectively, £320 for both offences. Now, this report is not to bash on trans folk. This is about the huge and deliberate disparity in sentencing and execution of the law against different individuals. If somebody wants to dress and behave like a woman, I've got no issue with that, but women do not have a penis and balls, and therefore as soon as you use that part of your body, you're using it as a man. Therefore, you should not be treated as a trans person who, in most cases, uses the excuse of mental health to mitigate their deeds, as it flies in the face of justice and all being equal under the law. Sheriff Fiona Reiths, you are a joke, and it's people like you that are destroying the justice system from within. You should be stripped of your position until you can demonstrate that you can treat everyone as equals and not bring any of your woke crap into the courtroom with you.